The issue of recidivism affects communities and costs taxpayers $70,000 each year to house one inmate. That number is more than most people's average salary. Recidivism is the tendency of a convicted criminal to reoffend. And if recidivism rates aren't improved, California's prison costs will continue to rise. Upon their release, prisoners are expected to re enter society, find gainful employment, secure housing, and function lawfully. But what exactly is being done while they're serving time to give them a fighting chance to meet these expectations? Overcrowded institutions and a lack of basic services are just a couple of the challenges that prisoners face who are already prone to impulsive behavior, anger issues, and addiction. Mass incarceration affects all communities of the US, including those of California, both directly and indirectly. According to the Prison Policy Initiative, it's both policymakers and the public who need to identify social goals that include benefits that outweigh the social and fiscal costs of incarceration. Economically, California's spending plan includes a record high $11.4 billion for the Department of Corrections. Within the California state prison system, the cost per inmate has doubled since 2005. So, with a population that's growing, including a cost per inmate number that's growing, you can only imagine the costs that we're going to be facing in the future for the number of prisoners that we house in California. The economy also suffers when prisoners can't successfully re enter their communities. Once they're released from prison, many businesses won't hire individuals with criminal records, leading to unemployment as a common outcome for prisoners re entering society. And that increases dependency on public assistance and the likelihood to reoffend if prisoners aren't able to seek the gainful employment they need to assimilate. A child's mental health, social behavior, and social mobility can be affected by having a parent in prison. There's also an increased likelihood for children of an incarcerated parent to struggle in school and to suffer from behavioral issues and also become incarcerated themselves by the age of 25. Prison reform shouldn't be a one-size-fits-all institution when attempting to provide reform to a diverse population with ranging physical, emotional, and social needs. The appropriate venue should first be considered at the time of conviction of a crime. When the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, or the CDCR, identifies a prisoner that requires psychiatric care, the prisoner isn't sent anywhere to receive care immediately. The prisoner is placed on a waiting list while the Department of State of Hospitals determines if they agree with the CDCR's assessment. This can take up to 15 days, even months, while a prisoner with mental health issues is with general population and not receiving any additional services. According to the National Association of Drug Court Professionals, never before has there been more evidence validating community-based alternatives to incarceration, more effective treatments for substance abuse and or mental health disorders, and more social and political will for reform. So if there is a time for institutional change in the prison system, now is the time. The benefits to reducing recidivism in California are worth the effort. According to the National Association of Drug Court Professionals, there's increasing evidence that validate these alternatives. We can continue to accept a prison system that costs California taxpayers over $11 billion a year, only for roughly 70% of these prisoners to re-offend in California communities. So not only are you adding to the unsafe communities in California by releasing a prisoner who is not rehabilitated to the level that they should be, you're costing their families direct implications, and you're also costing the communities indirect implications by letting the economy take the hit again, not only for these prisoner costs while they're incarcerated, but the economy takes the hit once they're released, when they can't assimilate back into the society and get a job and contribute and pay taxes like other people do. In conclusion, I encourage you to pay closer attention to bills that are related to the state prison system because mass incarceration and recidivism affects all California residents. Prison reform support is needed. California is responsible for over 242,000 inmates, and it doesn't currently have a correction system that addresses why convicts behave the way they did when they committed the crime. They're simply locking them up and having them wait out their punishment. But what does that do for them or the communities once they're released? All it currently does is put them in tight quarters, frustrate them, and release them without any more skills than they entered that they need to become a successful member of society. Thank you.